The Red Contract of Venice. Marina loved Venice, not just the shimmering canals and ancient bridges, but the quiet corners where the sun painted old stone walls in gold. She was a dreamer, often found sketching the city's hidden beauty, but dreams didn't pay the bills. Her small apartment, overlooking a narrow calle, felt increasingly tight as her worries grew. One blustery afternoon, a sleek black gondola, unlike any tourist boat, docked outside her building. From it emerged a man who seemed to command the very air around him. Alessio Volkov, a name whispered with a mix of awe and fear in the city's elite circles, was known for his ruthless business acumen and impenetrable gaze. He was a force, and he was here for her. He stood in her modest living room, a stark contrast to the grandeur he exuded. "Marina Rossi," his voice was a low rumble, "I have an offer for you, a marriage contract." He laid a document on her worn wooden table. It was bound in deep, unsettling red leather, the clauses within surely as stark as its cover. Marina stared at the contract, her heart pounding like a drum against her ribs. A marriage? To him? The thought was absurd, terrifying. She knew of his reputation, his family's vast empire. "Why me?" she managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. Alessio's eyes, dark and unyielding, met hers. "It's a business arrangement, Miss Rossi. Mutually beneficial, I assure you. Your family's debts will vanish, your future secured. All you have to do is agree to be my wife, in name, for a year." The terms were clear, cold, and written in stark black ink against the red. The weight of her family's struggles pressed down on Marina. Her mother's failing health, her brother's mounting school fees, it all flashed before her eyes. This was a way out, a sacrifice she had to make. With a heavy sigh, she reached for the pen, her hand trembling as she signed her name to the red contract. The wedding was a blur of hushed whispers and opulent decorations in a grand Venetian palazzo. Marina, dressed in white, felt like a ghost in her own story. Alessio stood beside her, a stoic figure, his gaze distant. There was no joy, only the solemn finality of a deal sealed. Their new home was a magnificent palazzo on the Grand Canal, filled with priceless art and echoing with silence. Marina spent her days exploring its vast rooms, feeling more like a visitor than its mistress. Alessio was often absent, consumed by his work, leaving her to navigate the gilded cage alone. One evening, as a storm brewed outside, rattling the ancient windows, Marina found Alessio in the library, a rare moment of him being home. He was reading, a look of concentration softening his usually stern features. She noticed the way the lamplight caught the silver in his dark hair, a detail she hadn't seen before. He looked up, catching her gaze. For a fleeting moment, the cold CEO was replaced by a man, perhaps just as lonely as she felt. "The storm is quite fierce," he remarked, his voice surprisingly gentle. It was a small offering, a crack in the formidable wall he had built, and Marina found herself, against all odds, wanting to see what lay beyond it. The storm raged, but inside the library a different kind of quiet settled. Marina, emboldened by his unexpected gentleness, found herself asking about the book he held. It was a rare edition on Venetian history, a subject she secretly adored, a shared passion, a tiny spark in the vast emptiness of their arrangement. Days turned into weeks. Alessio, though still formidable, occasionally sought her out, not for business, but to share a historical anecdote or discuss a new art exhibition. Marina, in turn, found herself drawn to his sharp mind and the glimpses of vulnerability he sometimes allowed. The palazzo, once a gilded cage, began to feel less like a prison and more like a shared, albeit complicated, home.